Ah, tier list, a YouTube classic, one of the last remaining ways to guarantee views on a video. Today we will be discussing what the most addictive drug is, but there's a catch because we're not going to just be covering crack versus heroin, but we're gonna be doing crack versus heroin versus Gabapentinoids, or maybe muscle relaxants like carisoprodol, meaning we're gonna learn about how the scariest street drugs you hear about compared to the everyday medications you get prescribed by a doctor. And to help us, we have a special guest.
Hi, I'm Dr. Josef I'm a psychiatrist, and I specialize in helping people come off addictive and dependence-forming medications. Okay, we got it? You want me to stop the record?
When I was brainstorming this video idea, the first thing that I came up with was, what scientific metric do I use to rate how addictive something is, right? And it seems simple, like there has to be something you'd be like, well, this is just objectively more addictive than this, right? But the problem is that a million things cause addiction, and the substance itself, the drug, is often the least important thing. Are you smoking the drug? Are you eating the drug? Are you injecting the drug? Is it shamed in your culture? What's the cost-benefit analysis? Is it gonna ruin your life? Or is it like kind of benign? Is it really expensive? What's your access to it? How easy is it to get your hands on it? There's like so many things that you'll see as we go on that contribute to addiction, and maybe the most important thing is just personal preference. Some people just prefer certain drugs and that makes them more prone to addiction. Some people get addicted to Pokemon cards. I don't get it, but some people do it. I'm just saying this because this is a very just like me and the doc's personal opinion. This is not scientific. We'll use science a lot, you'll learn a lot, but it's just for fun. And yes, I have done almost everything on this list. Let's start with a weird one. Let's start with Betel Nut, actually. So there's probably a good chance you've never heard of Betel Nut, but it's one of the most commonly used drugs around the world. It beats crack and heroin and meth, any drug you can really name up. It beats by far of like the number of users. It beats it by any day. The reason why you've never heard of it is because it's predominantly used in Asia. And what is it? So it's actually a mixture of three things. We have a whole video about it. First thing is betel leaf, which is this leaf that is really refreshing. It has eugenol in it, so it's like kind of minty, clovey. Then you have slaked lime, which is calcium hydroxide. It's a very strong chemical that can like burn you. And then the main ingredient is the areca nut. So it's this nut that contains this compound called auricoline, and that's what you get high on. And the whole package you just kind of put in your mouth and chew on it, and it's often flavored with like tons of flavors. It can be really like refreshing and actually good for like bad breath historically. But it's super common throughout Asia as like a post-dinner like relaxation, like pop one in. So as far as what the high feels like, it's pretty immediately easy to recognize why it's addicting. Like when you do it, it just feels like that feeling you have after a good workout or sex times 10, like that like relaxed,
This is fun. This is kind of nice.
You feel like really warm in the head. It's almost like nicotine if it was 10 times better and doesn't have as much nausea associated with it. I'm gonna give a lot of my opinions on what it feels like. Those are my opinions. I feel like a lot of you know that, but just in case you don't, like it's better than nicotine. That's my opinion. Tons of people can disagree with me. I'm gonna share a lot of those in the video, just know that. I'm actually going to just put Betel Nut at S tier just immediately, but it's not actually just because of the feeling, because the reason why I'm putting it in S tier is for the side effects. When you do it every day, which is a lot of Betel Nut users, a lot of people will just do like 20 in a day, every day, all day, right? It will ruin the taste of food because slaked lime, that calcium hydroxide will just burn the living fuck out of your mouth. So you'll just ruin food. It also causes insane red staining on the teeth and black staining. It'll just make your mouth look nasty as hell. And then the third side effect is it is insanely carcinogenic. It causes so much cancer. It is so carcinogenic and everyone knows it. That's why I'm putting an S tier. It's not just because the feeling is good. It's the fact that people know that it will ruin their life in these three ways and yet they still do it. I feel like that's one of the greatest tests for addiction of the cost benefit analysis. So obviously people think that the benefit of doing it every day, that feeling that they get, is worth dying of mouth cancer. So that's a S tier. That's an easy S tier. Okay, next up, meth. I don't want to sound like a hipster douchebag. I'm stuck between A and S with meth, and hear me out. Obviously, meth
real addictive, right? And it's not just like a modern like thing that we have a problem with meth. Japan had a problem with it. Germany had a problem with it. When we used to prescribe it to people for weight loss as Desoxyn or Methadone, a lot of people got addicted to it. It's just, it lends itself to addiction, I feel. But I also feel like the social stigma around getting addicted to meth makes it so much harder to get addicted to meth. Like, I've done it a couple times on accident, and every time I say that, I feel like kind of like weird saying it, because people always go like, oh my gosh. It's like, it really wasn't that eventful. I honestly didn't even know that I did it until like way later. I've said this before, it just felt like long-lasting Adderall to me, but that's from eating it, right? So I think I have to put it as an S tier, because yes, the stigma keeps a lot of people from even trying it or getting addicted to it, but if you include like injecting meth, which people will describe it so euphoric that they come, like literally come from that injection. And it's also so cheap. I'll put it as an S tier. Ugh. Wait. I'm going to make my own tier list for most addicting. Betel Nut, I'm going C tier for me. Just because cancer is not my vibe. Already had it once. It's a bummer. I'll do it again probably in my life, but I will not make a habit of it. Meth, I'm going to put it as a D, because I'm just so scared of being like late. Like, that's a terrible label to be like a meth head. Like, that's a lot of judgment comes with that. Ketamine, a little horse medicine. Okay, so ketamine is a general dissociative anesthetic. So it's used in medicine regularly for horses, but also for humans. It's just generally really good for anesthesia. How I describe it is it's kind of like psychedelic alcohol. So from my experience, and I feel like a lot of people relate to this, ketamine is not necessarily very euphoric. Like, whenever I did ketamine, and I had a little bit of a phase when I was younger with it, I never did it and it was like, oh, this feels amazing. It's more this like almost morbid curiosity. Like, it's like you're kind of taking your brain to this area of just weird thoughts, and it's kind of fun to just explore, but it's not necessarily like euphoric, like, oh, this is amazing, I love this feeling. It's more just exploratory. It's like kissing a man, you know? It doesn't feel like, it's not really my cup of tea, but like, I've done it a fair few amount of times, and I'm always like, oh, this is interesting, I guess. This is exploratory. I'm learning a bit about myself. Not really my cup of tea. I'm ranting, sorry. So as far as how to rate ketamine's addictiveness, I think it is a solid C tier right now in America for a couple of reasons. One, price. Last time I checked a few years ago, it's like $100 a gram in America, which is a lot of money compared to in Europe. A lot of places I've seen is like $10 to $20 a gram. It's literally a tenth of the price in Europe. On top of that, it's pretty looked down upon in America. If you pull out K at a party, I feel like in a lot of places, people would be like, oh my, get the fuck out of here. And the icing on the cake, ketamine addiction can lead to an insanely bad repercussion, which is K bladder, which if you get addicted to K, you can literally ruin your bladder, get K bladder. Some people report like their K bladder gets so bad, they can't hold pee whatsoever. Like, they have to go pee every 15 minutes for the rest of their life. Or like wear a diaper. It's really sad. I think it deserves a C, but medicinally, very promising medication with treatment-resistant depression. And as far as my personal list, ketamine's getting a C tier. That sounds about right for me.
Ketamine is also a great example of just because something has a really damaging addiction doesn't mean it's super addictive, right? So like, I think ketamine is a C tier as far as addictiveness, but I think as far as how damaging being addicted can be, that's like an A or S tier, right? So, you know, it's like getting addicted to eating shit. It's not especially addicting, but if you get addicted to eating shit, your life is over. Like, you could die from that. No one's going to want to talk to you, you know?
Let's punch some stuff. Oh, Shrooms. Shrooms is an F tier. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this too much, but it is a hard F tier. Shrooms can be like really euphoric and feel like amazing and awesome, but to me, I kind of explain the euphoria and like the good feelings as like a cruise with your family, you know? It can be like a lot of fun, but it's not for free. Like, it comes with a lot of baggage, and after it, you're like, wow, that was such a great time. I don't want to do that for another fucking 10 years. Like, that's kind of the Shrooms thing. You'll have a great time maybe, and then you're just exhausted though. You're like, okay, that was great. I'm good for a while. So yeah, Shrooms, F tier. For my personal list, F tier. Same thing goes with LSD. I'm going to give it an F tier. I would say it's a little bit higher than shrooms because LSD is easier on the mind from my experience. You don't have as much like super deep existential thinking as you do on shrooms. But, you know, LSD is so emotionally exhausting. It's often like 12 hours of tripping. It's just a lot. I remember the first time I did it. We did one tab that we got from some sketchy dude from high school who... We waited for about an hour, didn't feel anything, so we all decided to take another, right? Waited another hour, didn't feel anything. So me and my other friend took another. We took 3. Oops. Yeah. You need to wait when you do that stuff because it all hit hard once we took the 3rd tab. Don't remember much, but some of the highlights are immediately the ground started turning into water and then... forgot how to speak English or walk for I don't know, maybe 20 years, maybe 3 seconds. You never really know. Wow. It was a good time, but oof, it was a lot. For my private list, LSD, another F tier. Hey, sorry, I'm currently in my friend's apartment in LA because I'm on my way to Peru in 2 days. So I'll literally have to finish this video in the Amazon. And look what the fucking barber did to me. I literally grew out my hair so I could get a dope ass haircut in LA. And he fucked me. It's good. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You guys love me for my personality. Okay, I'm angry. Let's piss some people off. Let's do nicotine next. Actually, let's go weed because I think it's much more interesting. I personally think weed is a great example of a drug's addictiveness really depends on when and where a culture it exists in. Like, if we were talking about weed in the 1960s or 70s, I would easily put it a D tier, maybe a C tier. Why? It was super shamed. It was super illegal. It was hard to get your hands on. You had to know sketchy people to get it. It was seen as a drug, and weed sucked back then. And so all those things culminating, it lent itself to such a type of use that was like, you were scared to do it. If you smoked weed, you had to be conscious of, okay, it's going to smell really bad, and like the cops might smell it, my neighbors, my parents might smell it, my friends might smell it. Like I had to go out, find a place to smoke it. I had to find it. I had to have a stash. Like it had this ritual around it where you were only really allowed to do it only so much because you couldn't just be high all the time every day because it wasn't manageable. But as we saw, as it got legalized and more normalized, the weed got so potent. I mean, finding some stuff that has like 30% THC is not crazy at all anymore. You can have pens now, blinkers that you have on you at all times. It doesn't even smell that much. You can get high literally all day, every day. And it's not shamed at all. Like, it's so weird. We have a name for a weed drug addict that we call a stoner. That's like, that's not a drug addict. Like, it's a stoner. It's quirky, but it's like, that's what you are. You are a drug addict. There's no judgment there for me. Trust me, there's no judgment. But like, let's call a spade a spade. So I think personally, because of this increase of potency, this increase of availability, it's legal in much of America. And in the states that it's not legal, there's tons of legal alternatives at gas stations you can do. I think because of that, honestly, I'm going to put it at an A tier. Shit has just changed, and I think because it's changed, you also see that the old idea of, well, weeds, it can be mentally addicting, but it's not physically addicting. That's also not true anymore. We find that there are new studies showed that people who are really dependent on weed will have withdrawal syndrome. I don't want to rant too much. I just know so many people who have suffered with weed addiction, and it's a legitimate addiction that is just not legitimized. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting that it's not legitimized. If you are addicted to weed and dependent on weed, that's legitimate. For my own tier list, I'm going to put weed at a B. I've had addictions with it in the past. Currently, right now, it doesn't really interest me that much, but I can see maybe in the future I'm in a different state of life, it coming back, and maybe I get into smoking weed all the time again. Hey, now let's do something weird. SSRIs. So you might be a little taken aback by this. SSRI stands for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. It's a type of antidepressant. I believe it's the most common type of antidepressant. But there's tons of different types of antidepressants. There's SSRIs, there are SNRIs, MAOIs, there are tricyclics, there are like weird ones like Wellbutrin, tons. We can have Different conversations about all of them. But antidepressants, especially SSRIs, are pretty much no one would say are addictive. And so I'm actually going to just immediately put that into F tier. So why did I include them on this list? Because they are a really good example of a misconception about withdrawal syndrome. I feel like a lot of people, when they hear about a new drug and like how addictive and scary it can be, what they do is they'll show images of people going through a withdrawal from that drug. They'll, with 7-OH, they'll show these people who are withdrawing and they're like fucking hunched over and crying and like, oh my God, I want to kill myself. They haven't slept in 3 days and they're just like miserable and just, oh my God. And so I think a lot of people very fairly have this association that if you have a really bad withdrawal from something, that means that that drug is inherently very addictive, right? But SSRIs are actually a great example of how that's actually not always the case. SSRIs don't cause euphoria. They're not addictive, really. They're not fun. But if you cold turkey stop using SSRIs after using them for a long time, you can actually have withdrawals that are famously really bad.
I am currently aching all over. I feel really hot, like I've got a fever. And every few seconds it feels like my brain physically moves in my head.
Antidepressants are also a really good example of the distinction between dependency and addiction as far as like medically speaking. In this case, you would not say that someone who's taking SSRI antidepressants every day is addicted. You would say that they're dependent on it, but not addicted. But, and I promise I won't go on a rant about this, all I'm gonna say, in my opinion, in this case, it's easy to see there's a difference between dependency and addiction. In a lot of cases, they're very blurry, and people on both sides in the medical world or drug users or whatever, they will use these terms to cope or weaponize a point that they're trying to make. That's all I'm going to say, and that's my opinion. Do you ever see abuse in antidepressants in any type?
So in terms of antidepressants that have a street value, it would be Wellbutrin, and people snort it. And the reason that one has abuse potential is because it's one of the only antidepressants that acts on the dopamine system, which is our pleasure system. And so if you snort it, people can get a rush of that. Another one is a drug called Parnate, which is an older antidepressant that's hardly ever used, but that also gives people a rush. And then Seroquel. Seroquel is also a drug that people abuse sometimes, and you can do Seroquel with like cocaine. They call it a cue ball, and it's it has this reputation for being like poor man's heroin. And so there's some interesting history behind prison formularies with those two drugs. So people were pretending that they had these conditions to get those drugs in the prisons, and then they were trading them for money and different things. And so prisons have now actually removed Wellbutrin and Seroquel from many of the formularies due to that abuse potential. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, these highs are nasty. The drugs aren't designed to be used in this way. It really is something that's like, if there's nothing else, you do it. And it's dangerous as well. We have no idea what it does. But yeah, those are the ones that people abuse.
Now it's time for the hardest one. How addictive is Raycon's everyday earbuds? Oh, it's hard. With a 32-hour battery life, quick charging with 10 minutes, you get 90 minutes of playtime. They stay comfortable no matter how long you wear them. Not to mention, they're affordable. Oh my God, it's about to rain. My life. Okay, I have like 2 seconds. Shit. Okay, shit. And on top of being affordable, there's also, oh my God, please don't rain. There's also a big Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale coming up where some things are up to 30% off, which is, hold on, we gotta find it. Oh fuck, it's starting to rain. Just click on the link in my description or go to buyraycon.com/Bechet. Not to mention, they look fantastic on my stupid cousin Matt's stupid head. Look at him. Look, he just looks fantastic. Look at him. And I've been traveling a lot, so they are great for on-the-road editing my videos, as I need to do now. It's gotta be an S tier. Sponsored by Raycon. Kava, otherwise known as Piper methysticum, that's his fancy pants name. It's a plant related to the black pepper family, but it's very popular right now for people getting off of alcohol, commonly used among like in Vanuatu or Fiji or the Pacific Islands in general. There's a lot of dialogue on what exactly it's doing. We think that it is a muscle relaxant. It feels like alcohol, but there is like this distinct feeling to it. It's different than alcohol, but very similar in a lot of ways. So traditionally, depending on the culture, let's just say in Vanuatu, because I know that one, right now it's common to drink kava literally every night for a lot of people. Like, I think it's like 50% of the population drinks kava nightly, like every night. So you'd think, oh, that sounds super addictive. In the kava community, there's a bit of a thing about saying kava is addictive. Like, that's very taboo. Most people in the kava community be like, it's totally non-addictive. I strongly disagree with that. I've firsthand met people who definitely have some serious dependency issues with it.
And for context, the reason why kava is traditionally not seen as addictive is because it doesn't usually cause withdrawals. And if it does cause withdrawals, it's really minor stuff like lacking sleep for a couple days type stuff. But I've already made it clear, I don't think it's a good idea to measure something's addictiveness based on if it causes really bad withdrawals. It's just simple. It's just a simple way to look at it. I don't think that's a good idea to look at it. So I just disagree. It's my opinion.
I think I'm gonna put it C tier. People don't do like crazy benders on kava usually. You know, people aren't doing crazy shit like they would on ketamine, but there are definitely people that become a little bit too reliant on it. So it's a C for me. As far as my own personal list, B tier. I'd go B tier. I would honestly, if it didn't taste like shit, it would go easily A for me. Nicotine. Nicotine is a fucking epidemic. Conservatives love it, liberals love it, old people love it, younger people love it, very young people sadly love it now. And it's just because now that we're not actually having to take in tobacco, people think it's just totally safe. Like there's no repercussions because it's diet tobacco basically. There's no carcinogens. You know, I'm not gonna get cancer. And I think because of that, because everyone thinks it's just totally safe, you can get it anywhere. It's an S. It's such an S. It's like the highest S. It beats Betel Nut. It beats Meth. It is such a high S. Oh my God. And what makes it even bigger of an S is just the way it feels. Like you'll do it, and the first time you do it after a while, you're like, God damn, this feels great. Oh my gosh. And then like right after that, you say, oh, I'm gonna do it again. And you do it and you're like, oh, this is, I don't know. Like I feel a little shit right now. My tummy feels weird and I kind of want to shit. But then you like stop and then you like keep trying to chase this high that you once felt that one time, but it never really gets good again, right? It's just like you just keep trying to chase this. It just makes you more anxious and angrier, and I don't know. It's such a fiendy drug to me. My ranking on nicotine? S. Oh, that's an S tier drug for my addiction. Oh yeah. I will almost definitely become addicted to that. Just give me a month or a couple days. You never know, and then I'll get over it in a week and then whatever. Okay, this is a really weird one, a really obscure one. Carisoprodol. I doubt most of you have heard of this one, and its brand name I think is Soma. It's not really used anymore. It's a muscle relaxant. From my research, usually just prescribed for lower back pain, and it's not really prescribed anymore because it's kind of habit forming. So I might have tried it somewhat recently, just out of curiosity. It's weird. When you take it, it feels like kava in a pill. It's weird. Kava's better, but it's almost a little bit better than kava just because you don't have to drink shitty sludge. I'm gonna put it C tier. For my own personal list, I'm gonna put it D tier because it's just does not interest me. Coke. It's so fucking expensive, and the fear of like having some fentanyl in it just is in everyone's mind all the time. It just feels like such a B. Everyone knows it can be very addictive, but I just feel like nowadays it's so expensive, it's so scary, so hard to get. It's kind of more taboo now, I feel like. It just feels like a B. But that's also very much like American. If we're talking about like Latin America, I think it might be a little higher because it's so much cheaper here. My own list, Coke is a D tier. I hate it. I've never enjoyed it. I've tried it a few times. It's always so expensive for a meh experience. I've never been impressed. And also that's one of those, it's a blood drug to me, kind of like buying blood diamonds. Just a lot of people die to make it. Why are you doing that? Crack, I'm going to put an S tier. Now you know that Coke and crack are the same drug. I've already explained this before in another video. They are the same. Snortable Coke is cocaine hydrochloride. Crack is just free-based cocaine. It's the exact same drug, acts in your body the same. Same drug. But because crack is used to be smoked, the route of administration, how you do it, that smoking makes something hit just so much faster and harder and more euphoric. And it's worth noting, we probably all know a lot of people that can casually do coke every once in a while and have no problem. I've never met anyone who casually does crack. Not saying they don't exist, I've just never seen it. I've met people who casually do meth. I've met people who casually do heroin. Like Professor Carl Hart of Columbia University is open about like, yeah, sometimes I do heroin, it's fun. And I think that speaks partially to the feeling, but more the taboo. I think that's one of the worst addicts to be called, like a crackhead. That's worse than a meth head. Like, oh my God, he's a crackhead. So if you do it, I feel like you're just like, fuck it. Yeah, I'm just in there, right? Crack is an F for me because of the stigma alone. Gabapentinoids, like Lyrica, like pregabalin or gabapentin. These are medications that are actually given to people for nerve pain often, fibromyalgia patients, or sometimes people who are going through withdrawal, like certain centers. They will give them, I think, gabapentin to help with the pain. They are a little bit addicting. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a little bit of euphoria. It's not, from my experience, it's not super intense for me. When I've done it in the past, it just feels like I'm a wet noodle. Like I'm like, ooh, I feel silly, you know? It takes a long time to hit and it lasts a long time, which sucks, but also is kind of nice. And hilariously, the withdrawal from gabapentinoids is often notoriously pretty bad. A lot of people who are given it can sometimes get addicted. You can just go on Reddit and read people who are addicted to gabapentinoids like Lyrica. There's another side effect that most people hate. I love. I get so insatiably hungry when I've done it in the past where I'm just like, I can't stop eating. I love that. So weight gain is such a big problem for a number of reasons with gabapentinoids. I love that because I have a weird relationship with food. I'm not like anorexic or nothing. I just don't like eating. It just feels like a chore to me always. Yeah, where do I put it? I'm feeling a C. I'm feeling a C above ketamine. But for me personally, I would put it at a D or a B. No, it's not a B. That's way too high. It's a C. It's a C. I probably won't. It's kind of interesting mildly, but eh.
What we usually see is people with like a benzo issue or like a opiate issue. They come in for like the 7-day detox and they leave on a bunch of gabapentin and Seroquel and an SSRI. You know, they're all kind of quote unquote, like used to help the withdrawal, but really, I mean, they're not that effective. And then you're just like, what the hell? I went in with one problem and now I'm dependent on these 3 other drugs. And so yeah. Exactly. I would not recommend that. Like, I think it's a way of stepping around the tough love of coming off these drugs. It's going to be shitty. Like, it's going to be tough. I feel like the gabapentin, yes, it can help a little bit with anxiety for some people, but for many people, it doesn't do much. And so I generally think like the best way to just like make it through the withdrawal, if you can find a doctor who will just taper you off gradually, if you have that option, that's always going to feel better than just getting yanked off something your brain has spent 10 years adapting to and then just getting like all these other kind of pills just sort of like stacked on top.
ADHD medications. So there are a few. There is Adderall, or that's dextroamphetamine. Vyvanse, which is lisdextroamphetamine. It turns into dextroamphetamine, I believe, in your body, but lasts much longer. And then there's drugs like Ritalin, which are methylphenidate. Okay, all stimulants, all act on your central nervous system, kind of activate the fight or flight, and increase dopamine. Well known that they are reported to be euphoric. Many people get addicted to them. Oh God, this is like where I have to be careful. I haven't taken more than my prescription ever, but I just have a certain view on how I should use them for myself, and sometimes I don't abide by that. Sometimes I do it every single day, which is how I'm prescribed. I just don't like to do that. It leads to just a dependency that I just don't love for myself. It's hard on my body. And if you're wondering, my favorite, I've recently switched over from, I did Adderall. I've tried them all. I've switched from Adderall to methylphenidate. Oh, I love methylphenidate so much more. Oh my God. It's a little bit less euphoric from my experience, less anxiety, less irritability, and I can eat on it, which is awesome. I'm a huge fan of methylphenidate. I just switched like a month ago and I'm just such a big fan. I think I'm going to put it an A. I think it's a good A. ADHD medications are a good A. A lot of people get hooked on it. For my tier list, that's a S. That's a hard S for Shorskis. ADHD medication, Is there ones that you're a little bit scared to prescribe because they might lead to addiction in certain people? Is one safer? Like, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, so Adderall instant release is definitely the one that's abused the most. What I've heard from my patients is the Ritalin one doesn't really...
Methylphenidate?
Yeah, methylphenidate doesn't really get you that high. If you snort it, it's just like a different kind of drug. It hits differently. But the instant release Adderall, people do snort that, and it's very dangerous. I mean, yes, it leads to euphoria and a high, and some people find that more pleasurable, but it can also tip you into psychosis and mania. So again, a really terrible thing to do.
2CB. You probably never heard of it. I mean, you might have. 2CB is, I believe, originally derived from mescaline, which is the peyote cactus drug by Alexander Shulgin. It's a famous chemist. How I can describe it. 2CB is kind of like if you mixed LSD with a dash of MDMA and made it half the length of LSD. Like it's like 6 hours. It's cool. It's very psychedelic. It's not super psychedelic in the head. It's very visually psychedelic from my experience. When I was younger, I was very it was just such a cool one for me. I just thought it was fascinating. It's kind of hard to get your hands on. That is a great D tier. Great D tier. I've never met anyone who's super, super addicted by any means, but it's definitely much more approachable and easy to do more frequently than LSD or shrooms or fucking antidepressants. For my list, it's an F tier though, because though I think it is interesting, psychedelia is not really my cup of tea. Let's do a threefer. Let's do prescribed opioids, heroin, and fentanyl. So why am I clumping them together? Most prescribed opioids, heroin and fentanyl, all are in the category of typical opioids. They act on your mu opioid receptor, make you relaxed. Obviously, they take away pain. You can overdose on them. That's the typical opioid. They can basically make you so relaxed that you stop breathing, you suffocate. It's important to note, different opioids are different, right? Like if we compare oxy to fentanyl to heroin, like they all act different and have benefits or downsides. Like fentanyl, for example, doesn't cause the kind of histamine, like the itchiness that you often get with a lot of typical opioids. People who do opioid addicts will actually often report that fentanyl is one of the, if not the least euphoric opioids, which is kind of backwards. Heroin is often, I've heard, is one of the most euphoric ones, and I've heard that morphine, which is a prescribed opioid, that one I've heard is one of the best ones. I can't tell the difference. They all kind of feel the same to me. For that, I think, how I'm going to rate this. Fentanyl, S tier. Heroin, S tier. The problem with heroin is it's kind of getting harder to get actual heroin nowadays, from what I've heard. Prescribed opioids, I'm actually going to put an A. I think I'm going to put an A because they're really expensive if you're not prescribed them. Like on the street prices are indescribably high, but there are like benefits to it. Like I feel like a lot of people, since you're prescribed them by a doctor, you often don't feel guilty doing them every day, all day, because you're told to do that. But then that gets you into the habit of, oh God, this is really nice. And then you kind of get into it. A dependency can very easily turn into an addiction with those very quickly. For my list, I'm going to put fentanyl F tier because of the stigma. I'm going to put heroin D tier because I'm a hipster and I'm like, I'll probably never get addicted, but it is kind of cool to be like, oh yeah, I've gotten addicted to H. I know that's stupid. It's just a stupid thought I have. Prescription, I'm going to put a B. You guys know opioids are definitely very appealing to me, generally speaking, but I'm not made of money. That's a lot. I'd rather just do Kratom. And I think that leads very well into Kratom. Kratom's active compound, as a lot of you should know, is mitragynine. It's an atypical opioid, not a typical opioid. It's atypical, acts differently, has a ceiling effect, so you actually can't get super, super, super high on it like you can with typical opioids, just the way it acts on the receptor. Doing Kratom powder sucks. A lot of people, it just tastes bad and it's inconvenient. It's green sludge. It's nasty. I think that is a really good natural deterrent that keeps people from going ham and hard on the paint. And also the side effects of Kratom compared to other opioids is more like, it's just more nausea. It's just really nauseating. I think I'm going to put Kratom in A tier. Is it more or less than weed? That's interesting. Kratom's withdrawals are obviously way worse than weed. I'm going to put Kratom more addictive than weed. Yeah. Kratom is more addictive than weed. Actually, I'm also going to put ADHD medications more addictive than weed. And prescription opioids more addictive than weed. Oh, no. Now that I think about it, is weed more addictive nowadays than coke? Yes, it easily is. Is it a B tier, though? I think weed might go into a B tier. Weed's a B tier. More addictive than coke, just because of the culture around it and how accessible and the potency and blah, blah, blah. Kratom for me, y'all know the answer. That's a S tier, baby. That's the biggest S tier in history. What? That's my baby. I haven't done it in a while. I mean, there's fucking no Kratom out here in Peru. Ooh, that does lead us to 7-OH, though. 7-OH is an S. It is an S right now in America. Yeah. Is it as bad as nicotine? Yeah, I think it's the highest S right now. I think 7-OH is the highest S. God, I know a lot of people do it casually. It just, the addiction sneaks up on you so fast, where you're doing like a half a pill one night, and then within like 3 weeks, you're like, oh shit, I'm doing 2 pills a day, you know? You know, the funny thing about 7-OH, since I did the Kratom video, right after I did it, I just lost the appeal for 7-OH for me. I think I'm gonna put it at a B tier for me, actually. I'm not saying I'll never get into it again, but I'm kind of off it now. Benzos, benzodiazepines, they're anti-anxiety medications. You've heard of Xanax, Valium. Benzos for me are a great example of euphoria's subjectiveness. Like, someone's euphoria is not another person's euphoria. Some people get euphoria from pain. Benzos to me do not cause euphoria. It's just boredom. But to a lot of people, they're super addictive. People who are prescribed them for anxiety, it's bad. Being dependent on benzos, of all of these on the list, it's one of the worst and scariest addictions. It's one of the few drugs. Of all of these, it's the only drug that you can actually die from the withdrawal alone. The withdrawal is very, very, very scary. Yeah, I've met a few people who have like serious benzo addictions. That's a gnarly addiction to look at. They don't remember shit. I remember one time when I was much younger, I was in like this rap studio, and this one guy who was doing it, who's addicted to benzos, he kept popping them, and he actually, like, he was so high at one point that he was popping them like candy because he kept forgetting if he had taken one yet. It's a high A tier for me.
Okay, yeah. For me, I'm like, oh man, put this up in the S tier is how I think about them. But I'm kind of biased, and so when we talk about addiction, right, I think it breaks down into two parts. Like, some of them, it's really addictive because you feel like euphoric and you feel like amazing when you're on it. You know, think about like fentanyl or something like that. Some people can do that once and just say, I just need to go after that the rest of my life. That doesn't really happen with benzos, but don't get me wrong, they still feel great for some people, especially if you're super anxious. Taking a benzo can be like, oh, this is the solution for all of my anxiety and all of my sleep problems. It's totally gone away. And so in that respect, the drug effect is, I would say, pretty addictive. Do people go and do a whole bunch of illegal stuff to get them? Yes, I know a lot of patients going down to Mexico to kind of source these, but it doesn't quite have that same stigma as like the crack or the heroin addict who's like, you know, robbing the local convenience store. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to give you my justification for why I think this could potentially be an S tier. And that is that getting off of these sucks. And it sucks way worse than heroin. If you think about drugs that are terrible to come off of, they're generally the drugs that cause sedation and anxiety reduction. Because what happens when you come off of them is you get the opposite. You get days of insomnia and severe anxiety, irritability, and that is by far the worst withdrawal. Like, you know, compare it to something like the ADHD meds, which I also see on here. The withdrawal syndrome from that is like nothing. You get kind of sleepy and you're fatigued, right? Because that's the opposite of stimulation. Now, the issue with the benzos is not only does the actual withdrawal suck, it can kill you. Just like alcohol, coming off drugs that act on the GABA system, you can have seizures. And if you have a seizure that's bad enough, it actually interferes with the cardiorespiratory system in the brainstem. And so people actually have heart attacks when they have severe seizures. The last thing that I wanted to add here, Meadow, is because there's another thing. I mean, if it couldn't get any worse than death, let me tell you the next part. The withdrawal syndrome from benzos can go on for years sometimes. And so when you come off like fentanyl or morphine, opiates, like it is terrible for the first week. The next week is still terrible, but you're mostly recovered by week, by about a month in. I think people have mostly normalized from that. That's not the case for people with benzos. Some people that does happen and they kind of bounce back within a couple of months. But there's a condition called protracted benzodiazepine withdrawal, which is now listed in the drug labels. It's essentially neurological damage that's induced by benzo withdrawal. And probably the easiest way to describe this phenomenon to you is with like a clinical case. So this is what I see a lot. You'd have someone and they're just like on 2 of Xanax and they go, I just want off. And they go, I don't want to taper this. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to white knuckle it. So they stop it. And then a month into it, they're still feeling terrible. And they go, I'm just going to hang on a little bit longer because that's going to make me feel better. A month later, they're still feeling bad. They go, I'm just going to hang on a bit longer. And month 3, they're actually feeling worse. Now they have ringing in their ears, light sensitivity, digestive problems. Their heart is beating like crazy. They've got burning in their hands and feet. And they go, I can't even deal with this anymore. I feel like I'm losing my mind. And they say, I'm going to get back on the drug and taper off. But when they get back on the drug, the symptoms don't go away. And they say, what the hell? Well, what's happened to me? Do I have multiple sclerosis? Do I have Huntington? But that's not the case. What's happened to them is they've damaged their nervous system. And so a small proportion of people who come off these drugs too quickly, it actually hurts the nervous system. And it can take them, like up to 2 years and sometimes even longer to recover from this.
And we have 2 more. We have caffeine. The caffeine's really hard for me to place. I've thought about this for days. I don't know how to place this. People are really getting into relying on caffeine a lot. Like yerba mate and the caffeine drinks we have now, the energy drinks, have 200 milligrams, I feel like. It's fucked. I don't understand how people get normalized to drinking 200 milligrams. I can't drink a full yerba mate. But I also think that speaks to caffeine not being an S tier because caffeine is not one of those things that you can keep, do a really high dose and get like this intense high euphoria. For most people, if you do too much caffeine, you just feel terrible and super anxious. Is it an A or a B for me? This is hard. I hate doing this list. This is so unscientific. There's so many factors to how cheap it is, how accessible, what's the shame of it, what's the withdrawal of it, how euphoric is it, like so many things to take into account. I think it's a B. Oh, is it above weed or below weed? Fuck. Oh, I don't know. I think it's below weed. Caffeine for me is a low B. It would be higher, but I'm a drug nerd, so I don't know. I know a lot of other chemicals that I'd rather do than caffeine. And then lastly, the last one of the list, thank God I'm done with this video. Alcohol, baby. You have to think about, it's not shamed. It's easy to get into the habit of drinking it every single night because people are probably not going to shame you. They're like, oh, a glass of wine, it's not a crime. It's super accessible. The withdrawals are one of the worst. It's up there with benzos. But I also think it's worth noting that the vast majority of people that drink alcohol have a somewhat healthy relationship to it. It's the highest A. It's an A, but it's very high. And for me, I've always hated alcohol. Recently, over the last 2 months, I've kind of gotten into it. It's kind of fun to get drunk with your friends or on a date and feel a little silly. But I also had an alcoholic stepdaddy, so I'm kind of scared of being that. I think that's the lowest B. Boop. Oh my God, and we're done. Fuck this list. Oh, it's just there's so many you can't rate addiction. Hopefully I've kind of portrayed that in this video where you can kind of understand that addiction is super complex. It comes for a lot of different reasons. God, I hate the premise of this video. I feel like it's going to do numbers because y'all love a tier list. Okay, bye.